hello and welcome back to the channel. Now you've read the title, we all know why we're here. We're going to be discussing the upcoming Beatles biopics. All four of them. It's a lot. Let's get into this.
Well, if he's your grandfather, who knows?
Before we do dive into the video, I will ask you to like this video for an extra birthday wish. Comment a comment, nice, nasty, whatever you want. And subscribe so you get more ramblings of an unhinged mad woman right into your subscription inbox. So without further ado, let me just go and yap about this goddamn biopic that no one wants. I will say that I'm only going off what is currently available about these biopics because we don't have a trailer, we don't even have a teaser. They are barely filming this right now as of filming. I'm pretty much just going off what we've seen from the behind the scenes footage and my general knowledge of the Beatles because trust and believe, I am an apple scruff, thank you very much. Much to the dismay of my grandmother, who was a Rolling Stones girl, but here we are. Also, I was quite literally the top 1% of Beatles listeners last year on Spotify, and Spotify said that my listening age was 74. Which is the same age as my grandmother. So without further ado, let's talk about the Beatles biopic, shall we? Let me start with my first point by saying, I don't like biopics. I don't like them. I think a lot of them that come out are soulless and kind of bland. They don't really have any longevity. They just pretty much just exist for cash grabs and really nothing else. I mean, we all remember the Bohemian Rhapsody, the Oscars, and the absolute faff of it all, really. Like, I shit you not, 2 years after Bohemian Rhapsody won their award for Best Editing, I went to film school, was in an editing class, and the lecturer literally said, we're going to be looking at a bad example of editing. And it was Bohemian Rhapsody. So that really just solidifies what biopics are in today's day and age. And also just some biopics are just bad. Like the Back in Black Amy Winehouse biopic was just... I'm a big Amy Winehouse fan, and I was offended by that. However, that isn't me saying that every single biopic ever made is bad. I did very, very much love Love and Mercy, which was Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys biopic. My god, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Very good film, so heartbreaking. And it was what a biopic should be. It wasn't faffing about. It wasn't just like, oh, their early life and growing up and how they came into fame. They had a little struggle. It started with him famous, a horrible situation he went through while famous, with a good ending. And it was perfect. However, the rest of them are just, here's their early childhood, here's them becoming famous, here's them struggling with fame, and they died. The end. And to be fair, I unfortunately feel like this is exactly what this biopic is going to be like. So, what is the Beatles biopics? I say pics, with an S. There's plural. There's 4. 1 for each band member, all dropping on the same day in April 2027. I don't know whether that's absolutely brilliant or fucking stupid. I mean, you are absolutely throwing shit tons of money into this project, kind of with the gamble that it'll pay off, and it probably will because it's the Beatles, they're one of the biggest bands to ever live. So we do have the cast of who's going to play the Fab Four, and it's not looking promising. We have Paul Mescal, Harris Dickinson, Barry Keoghan, and Joseph Quinn. I'm not a fan of the casting, but more on that later. So 1 for Paul, 1 for George, 1 for John, and 1 for Ringo. The thing is, and the biggest gripe I have with the films, are the facts that it's not fucking needed. The Beatles made 4 films while they were still in the Beatles. You had Hard Day's Night, Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine, and Let It Be. All 4 are absolutely peak, by the way. I will say the best one is Yellow Submarine. I completely forgot to mention Help by the Beatles, which was pretty good, even though it was quite very racist. The Beatles did apologise for it. It could not be made today. It's good despite that, though. You can argue it wasn't actually the boys who did that film, it was animated and other people did their voices, and George for some reason sounded Scottish. I will say it was the best Beatles film. All 4 of them I do absolutely love and adore. Also, so many documentaries of these guys exist. You have the anthology series, you have Get Back, which was 3 3 parts each part being 3 hours. We also have 8 Days a Week, which was about their touring years. We have a documentary on every single Beatle. Paul has Bands on a Run. John had One to One. George had Living in the Material World. Also, Ringo has one, which I didn't think there was one, but it's 20 minutes, and I had to Google it. And it's not well rated. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's just so much media on them. Why do we need 4 biopics on all of them? It just seems kind of stupid, and there's just nothing new you can add to the stories of the Beatles because they were so well documented. They got famous when they were very young. They were all in their late teens, early 20s in 1963 when Love Me Do came out. So, you know, apart from their childhood, they were pretty much documented their entire lives right up to either their death or present day. Rest in peace, John and George. They had to take the best and the worst one, huh? And there's so much information about their childhoods to the point where their family homes are tourist attractions. You can go inside of Paul's childhood home. John Lennon's childhood home is a tourist attraction, and they leave the light on in his childhood room on the anniversary of his death every year. We already know everything about these guys. What else are you going to add to this biopic to actually make it something different and distinguishable from the rest? Anyway, the casting. Let me get onto that part. Now, let me just say, it's bad casting. Okay, right, hear me out here. Right, the whole point of the Beatles were they were just 4 lads from Liverpool who just got famous. Cool, okay, lovely. So I feel like it would add a lot more soul to the biopic if they actually cast 4 random lads from the Liverpool Merseyside area, maybe even expand it to the northwest of England. But they just got 4 Hollywood stars who so happen to be British and 1 Irish fella. I'm British, and I know full well how much the Irish fucking hate us. For the love of God, never call the Irish British. They hate us. For good fucking reason, mind you. Also, Barry Keoghan is just... No. He looks more like a cartoon version of Ringo. I mean, he is fuck ugly, but I don't think he's like the level of Ringo, you know? Not to diss neither Ringo nor Barry. I mean, I would rather have Barry Keoghan be just butt-ass ugly than filled with every type of filler you can imagine and looking like Uncanny Valley. That shit terrifies me. I don't like when people get too much filler in their face. It actually throws me to fight or flight. Like, every time I see a photo of the Kardashians, I don't know what to do, but I just feel fear inside of me because they don't look like people. They look like people, but not quite. Uncanny Valley effect. Please stop putting fillers in your face. And Barry Keoghan, I know you're ugly, but I would rather you be ugly than walking around looking like walking Tupperware, okay? Don't listen to the haters. You may be ugly, but I love that. Honestly, just start putting ugly people in films because beauty standards are so insanely unrealistic as it is. Put me in films. I'm not the prettiest girl. I can make average girls feel some sense of joy again. Either way, what I'm saying is put more ugly people in Hollywood films, please. Because all of this filler and plastic surgery shit, I'm getting tired of it. Either way, I've gone way off point here. Back to this. I will say, Jane Norton as Brian Epstein, I think is good casting. I think they hit the nail on the head there. And I do like Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney because he actually looks like Paul. When the photos dropped, he was the only one who looks like Paul. Joseph Quinn, on the other hand, look how they massacred my boy. Let it be known, George Harrison is my favourite Beatle. This is not George Harrison, this is an abomination. I don't like Joseph Quinn as it is. He pissed me off in Stranger Things. The whole Eddie, like, oh, be so fucking for real. Oh, Stranger Things was so good in the first season, and it just got so shit. Either way, different story for a different day. But the main issue with them all being famous film stars is pretty much people will only see them as the stars they are, not actors portraying other famous people, if you get what I'm saying. It would have just made more sense to cast everyday British lads rather than big movie stars. It just kind of loses the soul of the Beatles, because John Lennon famously was a very working class lad. Does the song Working Class Hero ringing any bells? It just does not give me a lot of hope, if I'm being honest. Now, I am just going off absolute first impressions here. Again, no teaser, no trailer, we just know the absolute bare basics. However, if it is on the internet, people will have an opinion, and I absolutely have an opinion, especially when it comes to film. Thank you very much. So, as I said, I do not have high hopes for this. The casting looks very I mean, let me just go through the casting one by one real quick. So, as I said, Paul Mescal very much looks like Paul, I'll give them that. Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr, I feel like they made Ringo look ugly. It's like they made him wear a prosthetic nose to just really take the piss out of the fact that Ringo had a big nose. It reminds me of what they did in Bohemian Rhapsody with the main character. Oh, who's the actor who played Freddie? Either way, actor who played Freddie, it's completely escaped my mind right now. They gave him huge buck teeth to make fun of the fact that Freddie Mercury had big teeth. They kind of done the same with Barry Keoghan and Ringo Starr, because I know Barry Keoghan's nose ain't that big, and I know Ringo Starr's nose ain't that big neither. Harris Dickinson, he looks less like John Lennon and more like a homeless man. And John Lennon did usually look homeless, but it's like a Timu version of him. And Joseph Quinn doesn't even look anything like George Harrison in the slightest. That is not George Harrison, and you cannot convince me otherwise. It's bad. Only 1 out of 4 actually looks like the original cast member, and I know they're not going to look exactly like the Beatles. Only the Beatles can do the Beatles, and half of them are dead, and the other 2 are elderly. However, as I said, we will just have to wait until all 4 of these drop on the same day, which is going to be interesting for sales, I'll tell you that. So, overall, to summarise my thoughts on the video today, I don't have high hopes for it. I really don't. It just feels like there's no soul behind it, and it's just another pointless cash grab, which is the case with most biopics today, which is disappointing because there are so many great stories behind famous people, but unfortunately the biopics just never do them justice. Again, I've only ever seen this once, my own personal experience with Love and Mercy. It just feels bland, and I'm not, overly pumped for the film in any way. I just feel like overall it's not needed. There's so much media already on the Beatles. The casting is very off. I just generally just don't think it's needed. The casting seems very off, but also this is just what we're going on based with the information we have now, because I believe they are currently filming or are in post right now. Either way, production is still going on. So we will just have to find out until next year. Will I be seeing them? Begrudgingly, probably yes. I know I sound like a fucking hypocrite, but at the end of the day, I want to see if they do them justice, because again, I'm a big Beatles fan. I know lots about these men and their lives and the story of the Beatles and their music. I want to see either how good or how bad it is, and I will be making a video when they come out in a week's time. A week's time, a year's time, a week? I mean, to be fair, given my sense of time since the end of lockdown, I feel like a year is a week at this point. I blinked and now I'm 24. What the fuck happened to me? Please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will you be seeing? Will you not be seeing it? Do you give 0 fucks about the Beatles? Let me know. And as always, like this video for an extra birthday wish, comment a comment, and subscribe for more ramblings of an unhinged madwoman in your subscription box. Okay, that's it. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.